The dude that Domo Dude was referring to was Roland Barthes, author of Death of the Author. And I'm gonna agree and disagree with him. Death of the Author should not be used to shut down arguments in different readings. The whole point of literary analysis is that we are all going to have different readings, and comparing and contrasting those readings is part of the study. Oddly enough, this was one of the first reasons for the concept of Death of the Author. It has been used very often to say that someone who produces a work is not the final word on that work. So here's a good example. J.K. Rowling says that none of her works are transphobic. The trans community has found many transphobic elements all throughout her works. Now, without the concept of Death of the Author, we would just have to listen to Rowling and say, okay, well, she did not mean for them to be transphobic, so I guess they're not. But Roland Barthes says that a reading is incomplete until someone actually reads a text. A story does not come together until someone experiences it. And so if the trans community finds transphobic elements in her writing, they are there, even if she says they aren't. That reading is valid. Death of the Author, Rowling's opinion does not matter. The reading is valid either way. Now, this applies to anime and manga too, it just applies to several different authors. Every artist, every writer, everyone who has a hand in it can say something about the production. And we should take their opinions, we should take their points of view, we should take their inspirations into account when doing our reading. But again, the people who create the work of art are not the final word on the work of art. The readers are. The people who are experiencing it are. So using Naruto as an example, Kishimoto has been accused of being a little sexist. There are limited fights that female ninjas were able to get into during Naruto's early years. And Kishimoto says in interviews that the female ninja are physically weaker than the male ninja. He specifically said that Sakura represented human weakness because she was weaker than all the other male ninja. That is a little fucked up. But then he later said, no, he wasn't trying to be sexist with all that. That was just how he saw the character. Showing receipts, just in case anyone doubts me. Pause if you want to read. The concept of Death of the Author allows the audience to read and come to their own conclusions whether or not Naruto has sexist elements in it. Because sometimes authors don't really know what they're creating, especially when there are lots and lots of people involved in a production. All of those people's work coming together might create meaning that wasn't there in any of their individual work. That's why Death of the Author is practically necessary in our current age of media. Because in the end, we have to make the meaning. There is no author that we can look to specifically tell us what something means. And in my opinion, I think that's a good thing.